Due to everyone having more free time to think, an interesting topic has come up on the internet. Today, I will be demonstrating how Karen is not the new N-word or even a slur. To begin with, we have to know what a slur is. So a slur is an insulting or disparaging remark or innuendo. It can also be a shaming or degrading effect. You can already think of several things, so I'm not giving any examples. Well, if this is what a slur is, then what is a Karen and why would a Karen be considered a slur? The definition of a Karen, as brought by dictionary.com, is a mocking slang term for an entitled, obnoxious, middle-aged white woman. You know, they are stereotyped to come in and be upset over the small little details, have 3 to 4 children, and often have a blonde or chunky highlighted bob and want to speak to the manager. Now, why am I even talking about this and why did this blow up on the internet? Here's some examples of some Karens and the specific haircut. How did we get here? So on April 5th, a United Kingdom's journalist named Julie Bindel asked the question, does anyone else think the Karen slur is women-hating and based on class prejudice? Now, this came out of nowhere, and nobody was really expecting this. And in the comments, you can kind of see down here, people combated it, even saying, one user saying, people are dying, Karen. Well, deliberately, right after this, a right-winged trolling Twitter account that also is a journalism account titled Friends of Journalism put a poll on their page saying the term Karen is being used as a sexist and racial slur. Considering this is an equivalent of the N-word for white women, should it be banned on Twitter? Not if or is it that it is an equivalent, they are saying. The poll got an overwhelming amount of no's as the answer. Now, I get that people have some time to think or come up with ideas, but the real reason a lot of people are saying, no, Karen isn't a slur, it's just a slang term, is due to several things. Here's a little interesting image that I found popping up on the internet right afterwards, saying that, just again, how Karen is a sexist and racist term and that it's infringing on women's rights. Now, why does this really happen? What does this all really mean? Well, Karen is a slang term, as the definition said, and it's just sort of poking fun at a stereotype of a woman coming in and causing problems in a retail store. And as a retail worker, I can tell you that these people do exist and do come in and cause a few problems, but, other people do come in and cause problems as well. There's several things going on with this, and firstly is the I'm oppressed too bandwagon, where it is noted that people who have not experienced a lot of hardships will want to create something that has been hard in their life or some sort of oppression to feel included in groups that have been marginalized previously. People of color, people with different sexual orientations, all those different kinds of people have been marginalized in some way in society, and so people who have not will want to try and fit in with that group by creating a form of oppression, which could explain why somebody would consider Karen to be a slur and go along with that. Another note would be how it is an attempt to lessen the sting of actual slurs. Some people went on Twitter with this and kind of agreed that Karen is a slur because it hurts my feelings when you call me that. So if you can call me a Karen and it hurts my feelings and makes fun of me, I can call you the N-word and it's fine. That's that's not really fine. It's not fine because it is erasing the historical context and generational trauma that has come along with these actual slurs, like the N-word, like the F-word, like several other racial terms against other minority groups. It is not the same because Karen does not have years of prejudice behind it or any sort of equivalent to that. It's just a poking fun word versus something that was yelled at people while they were just simply trying to gain an education or equal rights. So, I found a couple quotes while going through this that kind of put it into perspective. There were several news sites that spoke on this whole Karen debacle, and one quote that I got from the UK's independent newspaper was from a woman named Kuba. I can't say the last name and I feel really bad about it. She said, "In fact, there is no version of a word with the weight of centuries of violent, systematic racism behind it that also somehow solely references the one group of women who have never faced such prejudice." Which just goes back to saying, Karens were never barred from schools, Karens were never segregated, Karens were never brought out and tortured in the streets because they had a certain haircut. That's not the same as the N-word. And there was another one from, I think it was tolerance.org, where the writer sat down with the professor and spoke about the history of the N-word, where it rooted from and what the modern connotations of it have, and how to have discussions about time and place and who can and who can't say the word, and that whole separate conversation. And the quote from their interview is, "It's about self-education and self-critique, not trying to control others by telling them what they say or what not to say or how they think, but rather trying to figure out how we think and how the words we use mirror our thinking." It's not about if you can call somebody a Karen or you can't, or if you can call somebody the N-word or you can't. It's about why you would, why you should, why one is worse than the other. So, here are my citations, and I hope you can understand why Karen is not as bad as the N-word.